Club. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon with each of you. I am Rishal Stanciel. My title is technically Senior Career Coach for MLT, and I'm also the lead on the recruiting team to help find wonderful qualified students like yourself to become a part of the MLT Career Prep Program. I have with me this afternoon, one of our distinguished guests is an alumni of MLT. He's also our senior associate working in data analytics on the RNA team. And so I will, my background is I spent the greater part of 20 years in CPG sales and marketing. That's consumer packages like Kraft and Mars and Listerine and all those other things. And I was director of marketing at Russell Athletic prior to coming to MLT about 13 years ago to develop young folks like yourself to help you realize your true potential and measure out and really follow your passions to your purpose. So that's just a little bit about me. Chris, you want to give a brief introduction as well, please?
Yeah, sure thing. Hey guys, as Rishal said, my name is Chris Matthews. I'm currently senior associate here with MLT. My background, I attended the University of Florida, so I feel like I'm hopefully not too far removed from your shoes, but my undergraduate degree was in information systems, but I started as a finance major, which, really matured into my full-time opportunity out of college at Goldman Sachs, working there as a financial analyst for 2 years. Then this year made the jump, switching from information technology and finance to public policy, and really I'm glad to be here with you guys and provide some insight.
Awesome. So I like to interject like these commercials along the way. So Chris will be the carrier of a lot of the commercials, and I had a little dental work done, so my tongue is a little bit tied here a little bit today. So hopefully you can understand me clearly. I normally over enunciate, but a little limited here. In any case, I'm going to walk you through a little bit about MLT, but I don't want you all to just sit there and not engage. So if you have questions, stop us along the way. Feel free to chime into the chat box. Chris will be managing that, and we'll go through this. I won't go too deep a dive, but I want you to be familiar with this program that we call MLT Career Prep, because I'm hoping all of you all will apply. You're sophomores and you're superstars in the economic club. So whether you're here today or you're listening to the recording, please stay tuned and please consider applying for MLT. So who is this MLT, Management Leadership for Tomorrow? Well, I actually want to show a quick video, and I realized that I have to stop sharing to come back in because I forgot to do the video piece. So we'll do that really quickly, and we'll come back in and we'll share. And now we will do the recording. So it's just a quick video. I like to drum up a little bit of energy in the room. So let's see if we can get a little bit going here. Here's a little bit of a testimonial about MLT and who we are. And I'm a little slow here. It's coming though. I promise you it is. It's a little YouTube, so I'm going to have to bounce it back. It's a little, let's go to the beginning. Pardon me. I'm going to move it to the start. Come on, Corey. He's one of my students, my superstars. And why isn't he letting me go back? Here we go. There we go. All the way back to the beginning. All right.
Rishal, are we supposed to see something on the screen? I don't see it.
You don't see it yet. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Stop sharing. What's happening? You know what? It's the connection. So you know what? I'll bring that in later. Let's just go back to the presentation. I'll bring that in later because for some odd reason, not sure why. Let's see here. Bear with me a moment.
Don't worry, technology.
Technology. I mean, normally we're not as, usually I do this with my eyes closed. So tell me what, you seeing anything right now?
Not yet.
I'm in a meeting.
Okay. Here we go. All righty. Let me go back and share again. Sometimes I have to reshare. All righty, let's go. Here we go, right here. All right, you should now see my screen. Introduction to MLT.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, perfect. So let's just go in and talk a little bit about MLT. So MLT exists to equip and embolden and empower. I like empower high-achieving women and men from underserved communities that are identify as African American, Latinx, or Native American. We want to help you realize your full potential to make a mark and make a difference. Well, we've been doing this for the greater part of 15 years. John Rice, who is our founder, was at Harvard, looked around the room and was like, where are the people of color? And so he started MLT as an MBA prep program. And now very soon thereafter, evolved it into what we call the MLT career prep program. We've been doing that for roughly about 15 years. There are 8,000 alumni thriving in high trajectory careers at MLT. Why is that important? Because these alumni are working in organizations that support our mission as well. And so you'll see those shortly. We have over 120 corporate partners and business schools. So if you're thinking, who's going to help me understand what happens in corporate America? Well, I'm glad you asked. We have 8,000 alumni that are going to help you. We also have one-on-one coaching. So why is this important? So, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I'm just going to break this down for what's meaningful for you all. And that is that by 2025, we're going to have 2,000 undergrads in our program. Today, we have 1,000 per class, or 1,000 in this class and 1,500 in the last class. But by 2025, we'll have a total of 2,000, which means there's a lot more opportunity, which means I need you all to apply. How about that? Uh-oh, is there background there? Is that my computer or yours? Okay, so what is important also is that 98% of the individuals that join MLT land fast track full-time jobs. So this number says 70,000. I think MACE, which is the National Association that measures college achievement, is around 55,000. But really significant here is that when you come in and you do software engineering or technical roles, you can make upwards of $150,000 a year. And half of our students are Pell eligible students, which means that everybody in the program is not going through school without financial aid. We work with, like I said, 8,000 alumni, and 50% of them are women of color. These blue chip organizations that we work with are like Google, Deloitte, P&G, Goldman Sachs, Target, Facebook, and other partners. And then we provide students with an opportunity to get into top business schools as well. So what are you going to get out of this slide? The two pieces I want you to take away is every year, 500,000 students graduate from college. Or let me say it this way, Black, Latinx, and Native American students graduate from college. Only 40% of them secure jobs that are sustainable for their wealth and their matriculation into society. The other 60%, which is what keeps me up every day, is basically or exists with individuals that are unemployed or underemployed. So my daughter's a teacher, so she's technically underemployed as it relates to the national average. That's not to say that she's not going to walk away from that, but what we're attempting to do here is to make sure that more students will graduate from college and have roles that will allow them to be self-supportive as they move through their careers. Both my parents were teachers, so I don't knock that at all. And the other part I want you all to think about is, think about the C-suite, or what I call the chief executive officer, chief operating officer, chief customer officers, chief financial officer, all of them. How many of you know someone that is Black, Latinx, or Native American that fit into that C-suite today? We used to have Ursula Burns, and we have fewer now than ever. So John's mission was to try to create this pipeline of 1,000 senior leaders that are on their way to what we call the C-suite, and another 10,000 behind them. That's his vision for MLT. I mentioned this earlier, 95% of our career prep fellows get internships. For 13 years, 100% of my students received internships. So if you're a student at Clark Atlanta, or you're at American, or you're at one of the SUNY schools and you come through MLT, we're basically saying to you, you're going to get a great internship. We're also saying to you that when you graduate from college, your average income could be between $55,000 and $120,000, unless you do tech, which puts you up into a whole nother brainchild. So that's important to note. Well, what kind of results do you expect if you do MLT? So Brandeis, which is a big university, does a lot of consumer research, particularly around achievement gaps. They basically say that if you do MLT, you're 12 times more likely to receive an offer before college graduation that requires a college degree. 12 times more likely than your peers that are non-MLT. You're 10 times more likely to intern with your employer of choice. So if you're desiring to work for Google or Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or BlackRock or any of those, you're 10 times more likely to get that internship if you do MLT. And then finally, you're 3 times more likely to have a professional internship related to your post-college career path. So many of my students just did internships this past summer, and they're going to work for P&G in brand management. They're going to work for PepsiCo in brand management. They're going to work at American Express as marketers. They're going to work at Bain Consulting as consultants. And so they interned in those roles and they secured full-time jobs for those in those roles because they did MLT. So how do we do it? How many of you on the phone know exactly what you want to do when you grow up? So somebody come off mute and say, today, if I were to decide what job I want to have, I know exactly what it is, and it is X. Anyone brave, any brave soul? There's no right or wrong answer. You know, I was a liberal arts major, majoring in political science, convinced I was going to law school, and I didn't do it at all. I went in business and went back and got my MBA and went down the business track. So you don't know where you are today exactly, and that's why MLT exists. One of the first things you'll do with your coach is you'll have this personal clarity exercise. And you'll explore things like, what are my unique passions and abilities? What are my strengths, my interests, and my motivators? And how does that evolve, or how will that evolve into actual career? So Chris, I'm going to put you on spot. Here's a Chris commercial break. Chris, talk to us about, I know your coach well, right? Talk to us about how that process went from a personal clarity perspective and how you landed on, you know, you're going to go to Goldman Sachs as a financial analyst.
Yeah, good question.
Sure.
So personally, one thing that, again, MLT does really well, you know, is like, you know, working with coaches and also like, you know, providing like, you know, a networking community to really like foster relationships that lead towards like career clarity and just exposure. So, you know, when I started at MLT, you know, the first enlightening moment for me was, you know, the first conference, which really, you know, at the time was in person, and we had hosted at Deloitte University, which if you've never been there before, I highly recommend getting an opportunity to go there. It was awesome. You know, but there I really got exposed to a lot of different industries, professionals, and just peers that, you know, really showed me a new perspective on what's kind of just possible outside of like my campus. And I think, you know, with that, that's kind of how I actually found about Goldman in specific, which ended up being, you know, the partner I interned with. But, you know, Goldman, I honestly didn't even know them. I don't know if you knew this. I didn't really know about stats before I even, you know, started interning at, matriculating as a fellow through MLT. And, you know, through just like talking with them and understanding, you know, from a bank perspective where they really sat at the top, it was really like easy for me to want to toss my hat in the ring. And my coach at the time, which is Valerie Griffin, was also a former employee at Goldman Sachs. So like having her behind me to support and help me understand and navigate that like internship and interview experience really helped, like, you know, me get my internship with Goldman my junior year. So I really got to see what it's like working as a financial analyst and demystifying the space. And then, you know, as, you know, we kind of mentioned through the presentation, like, you know, helped me feel comfortable accepting my full-time offer, which like, you know, made me feel secure for my post-graduation life.
Awesome. So we help you. You don't have to come in having it all figured out. That's why we're here. I say that every day. That's why I'm here. You know, we're also going to help you understand what's that bar of excellence. Like, what are the performance measures or competencies required for me to be successful as a brand manager? Because that's what I know well, or as a sales associate. And we're going to help you identify those competencies and then show you how to demonstrate those competencies within the roles. You start in the interview process and then you actually implement during the actual internship. And at the end of the day, we're going to help you convert that offer. We call it getting the offer, GTO, and ultimately allow you to make the decision. Do I want to go there full time or do I want to go do something else? But as Chris alluded to, he interned with Goldman Sachs and he went back full time. We're also going to help you develop this 2 to 5 year plan. So a lot of my students, as I mentioned earlier, just did their internship and now they have full-time offers. And so they're rolling off of MLT right now as seniors in MLT. And many of them are mapping out, well, am I going to go get my MBA in 2 years? Am I going to, you know, work for 5 years and then consider my MBA? And so we're developing what I call the roadmap for success, so that they will be ready to anticipate what's to come. Some of them will do a 2+2 program, which is a program, a deferred admission program where they apply for business school as a senior in college and then work for 2 years and then go back. Some of them will wait for 2 years and go. Some of them won't even go to business school. They'll say, I'm going to make some money for 5 years and then I'll look at it. whatever that plan is, we kind of roll that out for them so that they're well aware of what they're planning. I do believe, and I said this in a presentation at Shell Hacks, a hackathon event this past weekend, you have to have a plan to go execute, and we help you develop that. Some of the playbook for MLT is we provide one-on-one coaching, but not just any one-on-one coaching. Your coach is going to be someone that has actually worked in industry. So for me, I did sales and marketing for several different companies. Chris's coach actually worked in banking, right, in financial services. And so she had worked at Goldman, so she was very clear on what the expectations were. I've placed hundreds of students in consumer packaged goods companies like Mondelez, which is the roll-off of Kraft, right, with PepsiCo and several organizations that mirror the other CPG companies like P&G. And so it's nothing for me to help them understand how to navigate the bar, how to understand how to exceed expectations. Then you get this cohort, of about 50 to 60 students that are same majors in most cases from schools all over the country that are going to be your buddies, right? Chris, do you remember when you showed up in your first coach meeting with Coach Val's cohort for the first time? What happened? What was the chemistry in that group?
Yeah, absolutely. I would define it as intense excitement. In the sense that, everybody, that was in my cohort especially was extremely ambitious and driven. And being in an environment with like-minded people in that sense really set the tone for us to just rock and roll and really build upon the competencies, that the playbook, allows us to develop in that space in a really exciting and cultural way. For me also, that was the first time I think I've ever been in a room where everybody was a person of color and on a high trajectory, because that's not something you really get to see often. And that was my biggest takeaway on the first day, is that I'm ready, and I have really to this day longtime friends aside me that we want to just definitely be intentional about our career trajectory from there.
Awesome. And then there's the Alumni Network. So I said 8,000 alumni. They're from all of these companies that I'll show you in a moment, but they also represent a bunch of connections on LinkedIn. So the MLT LinkedIn community, I think, is 10,000 people. When you enter the MLT Career Prep program, one of the assignments is that you have to do an informational interview with someone that's in the current role that you're desiring. So I send my students over to, if they want to work for Google and they want to be in marketing, I'll have them talk to a Kristen Shipley, or if they want to work at LinkedIn, I might have them talk to Kyle McKinney, right? And what happens is you get to ask them, what's your life like at this company? What do you do? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What are some of the competency requirements that are necessary to be successful at that company? Why did you pick LinkedIn? Why did you pick Google? Why did you pick Goldman Sachs? And they are former MLTers, which means they're going to share their experience of where they were then. So they're not going to say, you don't know this. They're going to say, here's what I've learned. And then they're going to allow you to get a head start. And that's an amazing opportunity, because then when you get the internship at a Goldman or Mondelez or any of those companies, they're too going to be there to walk alongside of you. And then finally, the MLT corporations, they show up at our events to partner with us. And you're like, really? What do you mean by that, Coach? Well, they literally, I'm going to go right to that slide. They literally, all these companies here show up and they send representatives, some of which are what I call alumni of MLT, that I may have coached a few of them along the way. And so it's a fixed fight, because they not only will show up at the event and do a case with you and help you understand what a day in the life is, they might ultimately interview as well at some point. And so they're going to always have the perspective of, in the first seminar, which he alluded to, kickoff, let me talk about MLT. Let me tell you what you should know about MLT and what you should know about Google, or what you should know about P&G, or what you should know about American Express. But then also, here are the things you need to do to be ready. Go get prepared. So it's you get coaching from your MLT coach, you get coaching from the alumni, you get coaching from the individual participants for the company. So you get broad-based coaching across the board. The gentleman I was trying to share the video for is that he's right under the chief diversity officer at Netflix. And he was one of my first fellows. He was in my first class. And I have watched him through his entire career, but he'll be the first to tell you that he has leaned into not only me as his coach, but also into other individuals that are along the way that were MLT alumni. So I wanted to show you that piece, because that usually gets folks excited. So I know you're all high achievers. You're in the economic club. You're at different schools, very competitive schools. What I believe is that every individual that's a high performer still needs a coach. I would argue that a lot of times when you are that high achiever, it's difficult for you to ask for the help in some ways. Well, MLT just levels the playing field. Like, you're going to get a coach, and this coach is going to help you. So the basketball analogy is because I played basketball in college, but you might need to practice your free throws, or you might need to practice your Excel skills. You might need to work on dribbling, or you may need to work on your oral presentation skills. You might need time for more conditioning. You might need some time management tools. Whatever it is that you need, the coach is going to be there to help you practice and develop. Well, what's required of me? I'm going to be in this MLT program. I'm already a student. I'm a leader on campus. What's required of me? I'm going to make it very simple. We want you to bring your whole self to the program, because what you put in is what you're going to get out. So for example, assignments. Once a month, you will have at the most 2 assignments. Most assignments will take no more than a couple hours for the whole month. It is important that you execute those assignments on time and accurately. Why? Because everything in those assignments is geared towards you getting prepared for what is to come in your internship or even in full time. So that's really, really important. The event participation, well, Chris talked about that. We expect you to be at the events, but we won't have to drag you kicking and screaming because it's all expense paid, right? And by the way, one of our events is to California when we go back to in-person events. And it's, Chris, did you go to Tech Trek at all?
No, unfortunately,
okay.
Yeah.
So I went like 5 times. So I'll be the representative here and tell you that you're at Google's headquarters and you see the little robots on wheels delivering food. Or you're at LinkedIn and you see all these smiley faces and the pool table, so you're in their culture, but you're also doing exercises like a design activity at Intuit to understand how they develop their apps. You have an opportunity to go to, if you're in tech, to go participate, at a event with, who's another company that we've gone to over there, Salesforce, and help them understand how do they use this CRM, customer relationship portal, to really drive business for individuals. And then if you're on the business track, you can go to what we call our finance track, which is on Wall Street. Or if you're CPG, you likely go to a tech track or a Trek boot camp that's in the Midwest. So in all those cases, we're developing you, engaging with you to help you understand what MLT requires and how to help develop your brand. Communication, we work on that wholeheartedly. You're gonna be at sessions where you'll present your case. You might just ask a question in a general session, but we'll help you. I've had some engineers in the past that weren't comfortable communicating, and I told them, hey, go take Toastmasters. Go get good at it, right? I've had some really good marketing students that needed to work on the analytics. I'm like, go take, some Excel training. Go take some macros training, right? Self-advocacy and self-awareness are going to help you. If you got some blind spots, like I can still see my hand waving because I'm an athlete, and we train on that blind spot like our whole career from a defensive perspective. But everybody has them, and we're going to help you develop them. Okay. By the way, come off mute and tell me, any of these companies appealing to you? Do you want to work for any of these companies? Give me 2 companies, everybody. Are you with me?
Yes. I will work for. I work for a bank, so like PNC.
Okay. Who else?
This Alexis Walker, and
Sure.
yeah, I'm between Apple and Wells Fargo.
Okay, great. Alexis, tell me your school and your major, please.
Trinity Washington University, and I'm actually majoring health services.
Health services. And what year are you in school?
So I'll be graduating I'm on my 2nd year, so
sophomore.
I'm actually.
That's right, you're a sophomore, 2024.
No. Well, my bad. I completed 2 years already. Junior.
Okay, so you're a junior. Okay, awesome sauce. Well, so PNC, Goldman, who else? Thank you. Apple, other companies. There's a lot of companies here. Dream big.
I think I'm interested in Yelp.
Oh, Yelp, good. Excellent. Tech company. Who else?
This is Jerusalem, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with my economics major, but I'm in accounting, so I might wanna work on Citibank.
Oh, Citi, yes. Citi's big. Excellent. Did I get everybody?
No, hi, my
Yes.
name is Letitia.
Okay.
I'm majoring in public health, but I don't see any company right here.
What about the pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, Genentech? GlaxoSmithKline, Abbott, DaVita, Lilly, any of those companies appealing?
I don't really know much about it.
Okay, well, that's why you're here. That's why we're here. I'll also say that I had a student a few years ago that majored in stem cell, regenerative biology, blah, blah, blah. And she was out of Harvard. Thought at some point she was going to go to med school, but that's a key here. If you're going to go to med school, you shouldn't do MLT. And if you're going to go directly to law school, you shouldn't do MLT. But she was undecided. So what she did was she came to MLT, went through personal clarity, realized she wanted to do a little consulting. And from the consulting, she actually worked for Booz Allen Hamilton in their public health group and worked on the Walter Reed project. And some of those individuals ultimately led her to medical school, and they were her recommendation letters. So we've got a lot of flexibility. The only constraint we have is you cannot say, I'm going to medical school right away and I'm going to law school right away. But there are lots of opportunities that aren't even, they're not detailed what's underneath. Like Bain could be doing a project in public health. I've had students that have gone to work for, for United Healthcare and have done projects, and they've had majors in public health. So lots of opportunities there. So this all I will say here is, when you apply, and we're hoping everyone applies either by our early decision deadline of November 15th, at the latest February 15th. If you're majoring in any tech fields and you want to do software engineering, we need your application in by December 15th. But what I will say is, once you apply by January, most of you all, if you early applied, similar to undergrad, you'll get a decision January, February, in which case you'll decide which boot camp you want to go to. From boot camp, you get assigned your coach. You go to the kickoff seminar, which is what Chris described, Deloitte, which is awesome, right? From Deloitte, you literally will start the official rolling out of the MLT program. You'll meet with all these partners. And then from there in October, we come around and you're literally gonna have an opportunity to do interviews during that seminar at Target headquarters. So we'll do everything around analytics, so case studies, Excel, understanding how, if you're consulting, how to crack the case, things like that. And then from there, you will just basically by December of your junior year, you'll have an internship in your hand. Then we roll around, we do the performance reviews, we do our budget exercise, everything you need to be successful in this actual internship and launching into life. You will basically work on getting prepared for your internship, which will be between your junior and senior year. You go intern, you get an offer, like my 13 students or my 12 students that are in MLT now. Once you get that offer, you decide, oh, I still want to interview. Then you come to closing, which happened 2 weeks ago for MLT. In which we had interviews, people that did not have a full-time job that they'd accepted. They were able to interview with all those companies. And so senior year, you have an offer in your pocket from Goldman, like Chris, but you interview with some companies and you decide, I'm going to go back to Goldman. So senior year, December, you end up MLT, but you also have a job in your pocket, making it anywhere between $70,000 and $150,000 a year. And that's it. And then we start the process again for applications. So you ask, well, what do our applications look like? We have about 830 students in our current program, 65% Black, 40% Latinx. By the way, our program is geared for Black, Latinx, and Native American students, so you have to check one of those boxes. We're about 44% female, 56% male, and less than 1% non-binary. Business is about 45%. I heard a lot of econ majors. We do have opportunities for STEM, so tell your friends in STEM, even though it's an economic club, they still may have some interest in. I have a lot of folks that do econ and some other technical major. We have 15% that are liberal arts like me. These are some of the schools that we have public health schools public schools like University of Washington, private schools like Stanford and Vandy and Duke and Georgetown, and then also some of the Ivies, UPenn, Harvard, Yale, et cetera. And then everybody in between. I heard American isn't on here, but we do have students from American. Clark Atlanta, we do have students from, I think we have one or two that have come from Clark Atlanta, but we count the whole AE Center with Morehouse, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, and Morris Brown now. This is last year's class, the seniors. And so let's talk a little bit about the application. Do you have any questions about the program before I go into the application? So drop in the chat if you have any questions. Let's see, I see some chats going off over here. Any questions? Anyone want to come off mute? Tell me your name And your question before we go into the details of the actual application?
I have one question.
Sure.
This is Lania. I heard you say that going like traveling with you all is at an expense. So like, are you all paying for it or we pay for it out of pocket?
Great question. I was going to get to that next, but this is perfect. So we're actually paying for it. When you fill out your application, you will check the box that says if you're on any kind of financial aid at all, you'll just basically check the box that says, I want to have a fee waiver so that I'm not, we call our tuition advancement program, so that you don't have to pay anything to MLT. What we'll also say is there is a $199 matriculation fee that we'll talk more about because you can request a fee waiver and we will work with you all to get that paid for. And Marissa and I talked a little bit about that earlier, but we will not decline anyone from MLT because they can't pay $199. So the short answer is all these expense paid trips to California, to Westlake, Texas, to Deloitte universities for some Chilean sea bass and some wonderful beef brisket, all of it's covered by us. Your airfare, your hotel, all of that, and you get to go in top-notch accommodations and enjoy this wonderful MLT program. Is that attractive at all?
Yeah, it's very attractive.
Awesome. That's our secret sauce. Now, here's the caveat. Today, we're not on site with events, but our first event we believe is going to be for your class will be in the first quarter of next year, and it'll be in person. So stay tuned. And then from there, we'll go to Deloitte in August. We'll go to Target in September, and we're back in line. So we may have you come in and show your vaccination cards and things like that for security and making sure everybody's healthy. But the reality of it is I can't wait till we go back. I'm missing California. I'm missing going on these trips and watching you all meet each other and your eyes light up and say, oh my gosh, my new best friend. In 5 years, I'm going to be in Colombia with a group of these folks exploring the world. And so it's an amazing opportunity. So the application, any other questions? So great question. Any other questions around MLT? Anything I've covered so far?
Rishal, there's a question in the chat.
Sure, let's see.
Acceptance rate.
What is acceptance rate? So we are at, and I believe I looked at that today, it's about 76%. Let me do my math real quick. Chris, data? We had 1,500 applications, correct?
I want to say it's between 60 to 70 for sure.
60 to 70, okay. So, I mean, you're not going to find that anywhere else. and quite frankly, you know I mentioned the averages like the 3.5 GPA. We have students that don't have a 3.5. What we like to see, and I'll talk about that, so nice segue, we like to see the profile of the individual. So you being in the economic club automatically gives you, a prestigious place with us. We want to see your GPA, yes. We want to see your major, make sure it aligns with some of the opportunities that we have. But we also want you to share with us, what are you doing in your community? What are your aspirations? So all the questions that are listed in the application are really helping us to create a profile of who you are. And then we evaluate that just like they do when you're applying to undergraduate program. And so the first phase is this is really important for those of you that are going to start your applications today. Please make sure that you complete the first 2 sections. It'll take you about an hour or 45 minutes to an hour. It's just straight information. Put your resume next to you and just fill out your name, your school, all the questions that are pretty demographic and general and general information. It helps us qualify your application so that we can send it to our recruiting managers and help you get across the finish line faster. But if you only just put your name and your email, then we're not going to know that you go to American, that you're majoring in economics, your current GPA. We're not going to know that information. And we'll also ask, how did you find out about MLT? Please check the box, the economic club. That'll be important as well. All right. So the preliminary eligibility form and the application form is what we want you to fill out immediately. The other 2 pieces are a recommendation request. By the way, it's like 3 questions. The person that you're going to ask to fill this out for you will only take them 30 minutes to complete. That's number 1. Number 2, what I suggest is you pre-qualify those recommenders. So what do you mean by that, Coach? So if Marissa was going to do your recommendation, I would say, Marissa, I'm applying to this prestigious program called Management Leadership for Tomorrow. I was wondering if you would be willing to write a strong recommendation for me because it's a super competitive program. As you know, I was in your class this past fall and I got an A. I'm also a member of blah, 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 right? And then if that person says, yes, of course I'll do that, then you add their name to your application and you send it, and we will contact them directly with the form for them to complete. Why do I ask you to pre-qualify? This is something you should do automatically for any recommendation you're looking for, because a lot of times people just quite frankly don't, it may not register with them what impact you really have had and what interaction. And so we ask you to do that. I also, as a coaching moment for me, I suggest that individuals go ahead and do a quick write-up. Like when I'm doing recommendations for students, I ask them to do a quick write-up of their, strengths, opportunities, new learnings, things that they've done. So then it's easy for me to complete that recommendation form faster. And so that's something you also can do. If it's a professor, you can say, thank you for agreeing, send them an email. Thank you for agreeing to do the MLT form. I just want to remind you of some of my key accomplishments that will help you complete this application. You tend to get it back faster. So pre-qualify and send them some notes. Does that make sense? And then the final piece is your current resume and your transcripts. Unofficial transcripts, just take them off your site and upload them. And your resume, we will provide you a template for to use, but if you have a resume that you use on campus, send that through. Part of the process with MLT will be, we will work on your resume. It's one of the first things we do with regards to MLT, okay? Is that clear? Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Awesome. Someone had a question?
Oh, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Just in terms of, when you're looking for somebody to submit the recommendation, what are different channels of, stakeholders that you can ask from that?
Sure. So the obvious ones are your professors, because you've done really well with them. It could be an advisor to an organization. So I mentioned Marissa, I hope I didn't put you on the spot there. But it's someone that has, first and foremost, someone that has seen you perform and build your brand. So a professor works an advisor for your campus organization employer. So your manager that gave you a great recommendation and wanted to hire you from your job at Target last summer, at the movie theater, et cetera. Those can be recommendations. The only caveat is we don't want current students that are in organizations with you, like an MLTer, to recommend you. They can refer you and they certainly can write something for your file, but for this recommendation template, we want it to be someone that is an adult that has literally managed you. So it could be even an on-campus job that you're doing in a department that can speak to your credibility. They'll ask things like, how have you seen this individual lead a group of people? What are some examples of teamwork? What are some opportunity areas? So they need to at least have witnessed some of your performances and some things that you've done in organizations. Does that help? And by the way, if any questions come up, please, by all means, I'm going to share my contact information via LinkedIn. You can certainly reach out to me directly and I can answer any questions directly as well. So once you submit all this information, we're going to audit your application, and assuming that all the folks that are on here have passed round one and completed your information, we're then going to move you to round two. And round two is pretty straightforward. We're going to offer you a video response opportunity. So it'll be one question about your experience either in your community or how you're going to leverage MLT leadership. We're still working on refining that question into one. It'll be one question, but it will speak specifically to you talking about your leadership ability on campus and how it impacts the community at large for Black, Latinx, or Native Americans, right? So your identity on that campus and how you've leveraged that. We will also ask you to update your resume. At that point, we will give you an MLT approved resume. And you'll just take that template and drop your information in there and send it back. Well, Coach, why do we want to do that? We want you to do that sooner than later, because let's say you apply November 16th, we're reviewing your application and you get in, your resume will already be done. And guess what we're going to do? So you're in your sophomore year in December and you've been approved. We're going to post your resume to our partner resume book. So that means you have a greater chance of getting an opportunity between your sophomore and junior year for an internship. That's pretty exciting, because 120 companies will have visibility of your resume. All right. And then finally, you mentioned this earlier. So there will be a program contract. We'll spell out the requirements as a MLT fellow, what the coach interaction is, the requirements to attend events, turn in assignments. It's just basically an employee contract. so that you're engaged and we're engaged and we're all on the same page. There is a program fee that we talked about that we're working on. There will be a fee waiver request that you can fill out. You also have the tuition assistance program that you can check that box. That means that once you get in, you're automatically, everything will be paid for. The reason why we do that is we have students that their parents, quite frankly, are wealthy and they don't need it. And we're a small nonprofit. And so we allow them to waive that. But if you are someone that fall into that financial aid bucket, like I did, because my parents were teachers, I checked that box and I would have received everything for free. Okay. And then the program orientation webinar, we will have that as soon as you're admitted. So anticipate that happening in the December to February timeframe. Again, tuition assistance program, check that box. If you are not able to pay the $199 matriculation fee, then let us know that. We will also work with the Economic Club directly to make sure that we get that taken care of. All righty. Questions? Anything else?
We did have one.
Okay, go ahead. Chris, what's the question?
We wanted a clarification again on the deadlines.
Sure.
For tracks. Yep.
So I'll tell you the deadlines by track. How about that? So the deadlines, there's an early decision deadline, and this really relates to those that are on this first bar, this blue bar: consulting, sales, marketing, operations, engineering. If you want to be a part of that group or that function, if that's where you think you're going, then you're going to want to apply by the first round, which is November 15th, so that we get you ready for the boot camps. But the final deadline for that would be February 15th. So just remember, November 15th, December 15th. There's a caveat here, but same thing for finance. You want early decision to go to a tech boot camp, to a finance boot camp. November 15th is your deadline. Fallback plan is February 15th. Real estate, same thing, by November 15th, but the fallback plan is February 15th. So keep that in mind. Here's what I do want to say. If you finish your application on November 16th, do not wait until February 15th, right? First in, first out. So as soon as you send that application in, we can audit it and get you on to the next round of the process. But if you wait until right before the deadline, it's going to be tighter. The space gets tighter for admission spots later in the year. So everybody think about November 15th. Let's aim for that as our goal. If you are doing anything with software engineering or coding or programming, your final deadline is December 15th. Why? Because that tech boot camp is going to happen in March, and you must get in by December 15th. We've got to see your application completed and work together to get it audited and get you to the next phase so that we can make sure that we're done. Okay, so November 15th, everybody in the Economic Club, come on, or very close to it. Make sense? And who are these tracks? They're pretty self-explanatory. Consulting, sales, marketing, operations, engineering, finance. Those are corporate finance folks, asset wealth management, equity researchers, sales and trading, et cetera. Real estate, housing. You can be a finance or econ major and just be interested in real estate and housing and come and sign up for that track when you're going through your application. And then finally, software engineering track itself is for individuals that want to code or do programming. And if you don't know, then guess what? When you come on one of those calls that we'll have, you'll have an opportunity to talk to one of the coaches, one of the regional managers, to help you walk down that path. Okay. I'm not going to go through these. These are our competencies with NMLT that we have baked into everything that we do around our modules. And then here, the deadlines. So again, I'm going to put my hand in the sand and say November 15th. All righty. And then here are some of the contacts. Tiffany Stotts is our Northeast recruiting manager. She'll be working alongside of me on this opportunity. And then there's one other piece. Chris, can you do me a favor and drop in the chat actually, I'll send it out afterwards. I'll send it over to you, Marissa. We have a registration link that is basically a post-event survey. So everyone on the call today can go in and fill out their information so they can get MLT information right away. Actually, let's go ahead and put in the chat what I'm not sure of. Chris, have you already identified, are the recruiting managers already in the system to select or no?
No, they're not in yet. But
they're not in yet. Okay. So let's do this then. Let me think about, so what I will do, Marissa, is I'll follow up with you and give you the link for the post-event survey when we have that available so you can share with your team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can definitely pass that along to all the scholars that attended.
Perfect. Perfect. All righty. Questions. I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, by the way, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Rishal Stanciel. If you put Rishal in there, you're only going to find one Rishal Stanciel, and it won't be a long list. So connect with me. I encourage you to connect with me because I want you to learn more about what's happening with MLT, to hear some stories from some superstars. You also can go ahead and start your application. Let's just put this in the chat, Chris. Can you go ahead and drop the link in the chat?
It's deep in the chat.
Oh, it's deep in there. Okay.
Well, I mean, a lot of
resurface
people,
it.
yeah. It's circulating.
Oh, it's circulating. Perfect. Well, that's even better. So please don't wait for that post-event survey. Go ahead and apply, because as soon as we see Economic Club, then we can go ahead and follow up with you as well. But Marissa will go ahead and send you that link so you can put all your details to make sure we got everybody captured. So here's what I always like to ask. Now, I've been talking a mile a minute with my dental stuff going on. Tell me what you learned today. Tell me any piece of information that was valuable that you learned today. That's the educator in me, sorry. What do you got?
One piece
Yes.
of information that I learned is that this program was actually put together to help people of color so that we could actually be successful and use what we learned in college instead of like just going to college, getting a degree and never being able to put it to use.
Preach, Fatima. That's amazing. That's it. That we just should have taped you and let you be on our social media channel. That's it. And by the way, that's what's happening. We're closing the wealth gap. When Brandeis did their study, they said that the people that are in MLT and have been in MLT are closing the wealth gap to the other part of society, to the non-BLNA folks. So that's awesome. What else do you have, ladies and gentlemen? Nobody else got anything? Naya, Letitia, Alexis.
Well, I'd love to get a picture with y'all before.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let me just see if we can get this. It's not that hair day.
If our scholars want to come off,
Yeah, I gave them a bye. I know they got Zoomitis. I gave them a bye. It's hard.
I actually have a question.
Oh, so now you have a question? Okay.
Sure.
I wanted to know, I saw that it was like a timeline of like when you should apply and like with the process that you go through. And is this in accordance with like being a sophomore, like where we are now?
Yes, exactly. So we're looking for sophomores graduating in spring of 2024, which is why Marissa invited you all here. So you're perfectly aligned. We want you to apply by November 15th.
Okay.
You're perfectly aligned.
I'm graduating in 2023.
Are you are you graduating in the fall?
Yeah, the fall. So I want to
Oh, you're graduating early, Sanaya?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay, so that's good news from a debt perspective, right? So the cutoff is technically you can't graduate before December of 2023. But if something should change, then definitely, meet with your advisor. I would confirm that all the classes are available, because if you can participate in this opportunity, we'd love to have you. But if you are graduating before December 23, then you're technically not eligible for this program. But here's the good news. You can go work for a couple of years after you graduate and come back and join the MBA prep program, which will help you get into one of the top 10 business schools in the country. Okay. So it's still MLT for life. It's just a different point in time. But connect with me on LinkedIn and just kind of keep an eye and keep us posted, and let Marissa know as well.
Thank you.
And tell your sophomore friends to join. Tell two friends, and so on and so on.
So Sanaya, if she's graduating in December 2023,
she would be in. Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's her expected date. So
yeah.
And I just wanted to add, as Rishal mentioned, the Economic Club, for our scholars who do apply and get accepted to the program, you would not have to worry about a program fee. The Economic Club will make sure it's covered for you. So
yay! I knew it was going to take care of itself. How about that, y'all? So there is no excuse. You get free trips. Yeah, you don't have to pay the programming fee. We got great coaches waiting for you. You have the attention of not just myself, but the Northeast recruiting manager, Tiffany Stotts, and we're going to make sure you have an enjoyable experience. What else did you learn? Why wasn't I told? What else? Who else has something they learned? Just give me one more. I know we're right at time. Give me a couple more things to go with. I'm taking research. I'm a marketer. What can I do? Anybody else learn anything significant on the call? Okay, then you got to come on camera, because we got to take a picture. I mean, look at my hair. Let me just be specific. Normally I have my hair in good shape, so I'm willing to be posted. right? So come on, come off camera.
I'm gonna take a picture shortly, so either your name or your face is gonna be there.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes, Naya.
Anyone else?
Who else?
Say it.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Come on. Come
Okay.
on. Yes.
Cecilia.
Hello.
All right. I guess
Anna
I'm
Mc-
gonna take a picture now.
We're just gonna take the picture. Cheese.
1, 2, 3.
Awesome sauce.
Thank
While
you,
you're
Mom.
while you're on camera, what do you have? What'd you learn? Kazi, what you got?
I could say it's like a pretty. It seems like a pretty sure way to get a job, get training. And
Yes. And what school are you, sir?
Johnson C. Smith
Oh, yes.
in
Excellent.
Charlotte.
North Carolina. I know Johnson C. Smith. I work with some folks over there. That's awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? One other person. Leticia, you don't have anything down there? I see you.
I
You
think
see
some
me.
of them were more active in the chat than in person.
Oh, they are. Oh, okay. Chris, so they're chatting. Okay. I'll have to go back and look at the chat. Chris, you see anything in there that we want to share more broadly? We gave y'all the option to text. I knew it. Can I get the link for the application? I'm going to put my name here. Find me on LinkedIn. Rishal Stanciel. Start your applications today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Fill out the first 2 sections of it, and you don't have to worry about fees. You're just going to get into the program and go on and do those amazing things that you've been purposed to do. And I would say, I met you at the Economic Club meeting. All right. So next year at Deloitte, stop by and say, Coach, I met you on the call with Marissa at the Economic Club, and I'm here. And I will smile and say, wonderful. So let's apply. You got to apply to get there. All righty. Thank you, everyone. Marissa, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rishal and Chris, for joining us. We really appreciate all the great information in this wonderful program. And thank you to our scholars for tuning in and participating. Please spread the word to your fellow scholars and other sophomores who qualify, because it's an awesome program. So we hope you apply. If you have any questions or needing support with your application, feel free to reach out to Rishal and Chris, but also to the Economic Club, because we're here to support you as well.
Perfect. And one final thing, Marissa, can you share the 1-pager and
Certainly.
the 2-pager with them as a follow-up, so that
Yes.
it's a link that shares all of the information about MLT, and it'll get you all kind of a 1-page synopsis of our program in case you need a refresher. So thank you. Our pleasure.
All right.
Take care. See you soon.
Thank you.